Congratulations, you made it. You landed that sweet corporate gig and now it's time for an upgrade in your garage. In order to showcase that you're doing well for yourself, you need something with a bit of luxury, but also a bit of a sporting edge. After all, this is hot cars. So it seems like the new 2023 Audi S3 would be a great choice. But can it tick all the options boxes that you're looking for? Hi, my name is Jake Stump, reporting for Hot Cars, and today we're going to put the new Audi S3 through its paces. Curb appeal is crucial when it comes to small luxury sedans. Unfortunately, the new S3 has it in spades. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this car doesn't have a single bad angle on it. From the more aggressive front and rear bumpers the S3 gets, along with this Tango red metallic paint job, this thing is just really handsome. Also, a special shout out to the optional $1,950 black optics pack, because that bumps us up from the standard 18-inch wheels to these larger 19s, which look absolutely gorgeous, as well as give the S3 all this contrasting black trim, like on the side skirts, the mirror caps, the blacked out roof, the badges, the trim, etc. It looks really good in person. I'm also happy to report that the interior of the new S3 is just as solid as the exterior design. There's a lot of hallmark Audi traits happening in here, a lot of angular surfacing, and a lot of black on silver, which is definitely the brand's monochromatic theme that they seem to like in all their vehicles these days. It also helps that this S3 has the Nappa leather pack option, which basically gives you this fine Nappa leather on the seats and on the dash, and also gives you real carbon fiber inlays across the interior that really just brings this thing up to a higher caliber. The one must-have, in my opinion, interior upgrade is actually the $2,250 tech pack, which gives you, among other goodies, Bang & Olufsen premium audio and this larger 12.3-inch driver display. It's called Virtual Cockpit Plus. It's this fully digital configurable display that makes this experience feel so upscale. It's the same system you find in other high-end Audi models, and it just is really cool the amount of configurability it has. Of course, being a modern Audi product, the new S3 also has MMI, the multimedia interface. That's basically their infotainment display, and it is one of the better ones in the industry right now, in my opinion. Now, granted, again, the monochromatic look might not be for everyone, but the implementation itself is really nice. It uses a combination of the responsive touchscreen and a bunch of hard-coded buttons on the dash. That redundancy with the hard buttons on the touchscreen make it easy to use while driving, and in general, I just find the layout very intuitive. It also helps that the S3 has wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto connectivity, and in the case of our Premium Plus trim level tester, we also have wireless phone charging down here. Oh yeah, and last but not least, I'm happy to report that at 6'1" with the driver's seat in my seating position, I can comfortably sit behind myself in the back seats, and there's a decent amount of trunk space to boot. With that out of the way, let's get to the important thing and let's hit the road. So it looks good on the outside and it feels pretty good on the inside to boot. But what you, me, and everyone else really cares about is the drive. How does this thing feel when you open it up on a winding road like I'm on now? I'm happy to report it's pretty damn good. This powertrain, once you get it up and going, is a real gem. Like I mentioned at the intro, it's a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that produces 306 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. For the engine nerds out there, it's a mechanically similar engine to what you'd find in the VW Golf R. Though if we're being pedantic, it's also the same EA888 engine you'll find in a lot of sporty Volkswagen Auto Group products, like the Audi A3, for example. But compared to the less sporty A3, Audi straps on a bigger turbocharger, and that's where the extra power comes from. Now, the trade-off with that bigger turbo on the same size engine is that there's an increase in turbo lag. That's why that peak torque figure comes in at 3,000 RPM. Peak power hits at 5,500 and carries all the way to the 6,500 RPM red line. This engine is paired exclusively to a 7-speed S-tronic dual-clutch automatic transmission. Again, mechanically similar to the Golf R we reviewed recently. On a winding road, it's pretty much faultless. The DSG is so fast. What's funny is that my only hangups with this powertrain aren't when you really thrash it, because when you get up on a winding road and begin to enjoy it, it's really good, trust me. The hang-up is actually low speed around town driving. While the hardware is faultless, The issue is actually the software. At low speeds, the DSG clings on to higher gears to keep the revs low, conceivably for stronger fuel efficiency. And that's all well and good until you lean into the accelerator and ask for, well, acceleration. This engine's turbo lag, in combination with the transmission's reluctantness to downshift, means that occasionally you'll be caught out. There have been a couple of times where I've completely floored the accelerator and the transmission has refused to downshift. I have no idea why, but it's done it enough times where I have to bring it up in this video. This little hiccup results in two possibilities, neither of which is good. The first is knock, or detonation. When you load that engine up, keep the revs really low in a high gear, but begin to build a lot of boost, well, you're gonna get engine knock eventually, and that's gonna make your engine go kablamo. But hey, I know these engines are really tough. The more practical issue in the day-to-day is that a lot of times you're gonna have to use the paddles to make this thing actually go. And that's what I've been doing. I've pretty much been treating this like a manual transmission, using the paddles constantly because I hate being caught out like that. I'm hoping there's a software update in the near future to fix that, because it seems like that's a really easy fix to implement. My last gripe with the powertrain, that I promise you overall is a really good one, is, well, the noise, or lack thereof. Despite the sharp looks, the S3 doesn't have much of an exhaust note to rely on, so what it instead makes do with is synthetic engine noise. This vehicle uses the same sound actor technology you'll find in a lot of Volkswagen Auto Group products. Basically, it's a little speaker mounted on the firewall that creates a sort of resonance that is supposed to be paired with the engine's natural note to make an enhanced engine sound only in the cabin. Fortunately, you can toggle it on and off based on the drive mode selection, but right now I have it in dynamic, which is the sportiest mode, so you can hear it at full tilt. Now, I know a lot of enthusiasts hate the idea of synthetic engine notes, and to be honest, I'm okay with it as long as, well, the engine itself still produces a nice noise. So I do still wish there's a slightly louder exhaust note to complement it, but I don't hate the noise the sound actor by itself produces as much as some other people. My only hang-up with it is that seemingly like every Volkswagen Auto Group product that has it, it eventually begins to create unnecessary vibrations in the cabin. In fact, if you Google it, you'll find a lot of enthusiasts actually go into the engine bay and remove the sound actor entirely because it begins to rattle, and I'm beginning to hear it on this press car. Reading between the lines here, if you consider yourself an enthusiastic driver, I think two modifications are pretty much required materials here. An aftermarket exhaust and probably an ECU flash. It'll give this thing the sense of drama it really deserves, make it sound a little bit better, and hopefully tighten up the transmission logic a little bit there. Fortunately, the aftermarket support for this vehicle, like most sporty VAG products, is absolutely massive. So if the idea of tuning your brand new 55 grand S3 appeals, well, the support is definitely there for you. Now that I've gotten my gripes about the powertrain out of the way, it's pretty much all happy news here, because dynamically, this thing is fantastic. Because our S3 tester has the optional sport package, not only does it have those flashy big red brakes, but it also has adaptive dampers. Not only do those fancy shock absorbers adjust for imperfections in the road surface, but also based on the drive mode you're in, they firm up or soften accordingly. And when you have this thing in dynamic mode, it is lightning on a winding road. It is truly fabulous. So confidence inspiring. Also helping things out is the fact this thing has the optional 19-inch wheels shod in Bridgestone S0005 summer rubber. 235/35 R19. Not the widest tire, but certainly wide enough to provide a strong amount of adhesion on today's playground of choice. The S3 loves being driven hard. You can feel it. You can feel that the engineering team behind this product really had a lot of fun on roads just like this, making sure it would do the things it's doing now. It's also worth noting that if you don't drive like a psychopath every day like I do, if you knock this thing in a comfort mode, it is genuinely a comfortable, acceptable ride for everyday driving, even across Los Angeles' terrible commuter freeways. So that sense of duality and flexibility that you really want out of something like this, a vehicle that you're going to use every day in every condition, I really appreciate that. But what's interesting is comparing the S3 against its Germanic rivals. You know, the usual suspects, BMW and Mercedes-Benz. In the BMW camp, we have the M235i Grand Coupe. Now, curiously, there are two entirely different 2 Series. I'm not going to get too much in the details, but one of them is rear-wheel drive. If you get a 230 or a 240, those are rear-wheel drive-based platforms. Or you can get a 2 Series Grand Coupe, which is actually a front-wheel drive-based platform ripped off a Mini Cooper. Very strange, I don't get that, but whatever. This car competes against the BMW M235i Grand Coupe, the one based off the Mini Cooper platform. It also has a 2-liter turbocharged engine that produces north of 300 horsepower and all-wheel drive with an 8-speed automatic transmission. Visually, well, it's a modern BMW. It's quite ugly, isn't it? Either way you go, all 3 have 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engines that produce over 300 horsepower, all-wheel drive, and quick shifting automatic transmissions. What's interesting is where they diverge. Apples to apples, the BMW is about $2,000 less, while and it's similar, both the Mercedes AMG is about $2,000 more than this Audi. All 3 have pros and cons to them. For example, I like the BMW's engine a little bit more. It has a great sense of flexibility in terms of the power delivery. On the flip side, I actually prefer both the Audi and the Mercedes automatic transmissions to the BMW's Aisin-sourced 8-speed. And when it comes to looks, well, I'm Team Audi all the way. Like a lot of modern BMW products, the new BMW 2 Series has a tragic case of, well, being hideously ugly. I will say that the Mercedes is a close second in the looks department. What I think is interesting, though perhaps not surprising to brand fans, is that I think Audi does the understated performance small sedan thing the best of the bunch. The S3 is basically faultless to look at in my eyes, and once you get it up and going, pretty much faultless to drive as well. The S3 is one of those cars where the harder you drive it, the more you get it and the more you enjoy it. And if you consider yourself a driving enthusiast, that's absolutely a good thing, because as soon as you uncork this thing on a winding road, well, it'll all make sense. And I think that's a great way to wrap things up. The new Audi S3 is just an eminently enjoyable car to drive every single day. Of course, if you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to the Hot Cars YouTube channel so we can do more cool car content like this. And beyond that, if you want to learn more about the S3 and some of the other vehicles I've mentioned throughout this review, you can find out more on hotcars.com. So once again, my name is Jake Stump, reporting for hotcars.com on the new Audi S3, and I'm gonna sign off and keep enjoying this winding road in this great car. Bye. Woo-hoo!